Hello there, welcome back to my views and news. Viewers, now we can analyze the first round of fighting between Fano fighters and Ethiopian military. Who achieved what in this first round of fighting? Can we say that Fano fighters have an advantage, or is Fano on the retreat and Ethiopian National Defense Force going to crush Fano? In this video, we'll focus on the first round. What did Fano achieve militarily, politically, and diplomatically? Which mistakes were made by Fano fighters? What about Ethiopian government, Ethiopian National Defense Force? Did Ethiopian government, did ENDF achieve anything from this first round of fighting? In another coming video, we'll focus on round 2. What could be Fano's strategy? What could be ENDF strategy for round 2? We'll discuss in a coming video today or tomorrow. In this video, only an analysis, unbiased, neutral analysis of what happened in the last few days. What did Fano achieve? Let's talk from military perspective. Fano managed to organize itself. Today's Fano is more organized than Fano of last year. Fano has established a loose setup. Colonel Fantahun Muhabau is leading now all Fano factions. There are different brigades operating in different zones, but now Fano has one commander. His name was announced a few days ago. Secondly, if you analyze the retreat of Fano fighters from the big cities of the Amhara region, retreat was well coordinated. Simultaneous retreat from all major cities of the Amhara region. It means that these Fano factions are operating in coordination. They decided to retreat in coordination, and we saw gradual retreat from Debre Birhan, Debre Marcos, Shua Robit, Lalibela. So they are connected. Their operations, their strategies are well coordinated. Again, this is what they have achieved militarily. Thirdly, Fano proved its ability of carrying out blitzkriegs. Blitzkrieg is a term which was used for German offensives. German troops used to carry out lightning strikes. Though those lightning strikes were accompanied by massive firepower. Fano fighters don't have massive firepower, but they have this ability to swiftly move and capture big cities, which they have proven now. We can call it blitzkrieg capability, which Fano fighters have proven now. Yes, they could not control the cities, they had to retreat, but they have proven that they can enter any city in the Amhara region. They can capture airports, they can attack prisons, they can attack government headquarters. Anywhere in the Amhara region, they can carry out an attack. So they have proven that now in the last few days. Their ability to launch swift operations and their ability to control establishments in different cities. Militarily, an achievement for them. Fourthly, Fano fighters stormed several prisons in the last few days. Hundreds, if not thousands, of prisoners were released. and some of those are members, former members of Amhara Special Force, former members of Ethiopian National Defense Force, Fano fighters. All have joined Fano. Criminal elements were released too. Those who were in prisons for years and Amhara hardliners wanted their release, they have been freed by Fano fighters. They'll have more seasoned officers in their ranks now. And they stormed not only prisons but also police stations. They stormed the government building. They stormed airports. It means they captured weapons too. They ambushed ENDF convoy. So it means they're in possession of more advanced weapons now. A Fano commander last night in an interview with Ethio 360 journalists, I think, claimed that they had all types of weapons now except drones and fighter jets, bombers, etc. It means they have artillery pieces, they have tanks, they have other types of heavy weapons too. They were using artillery pieces on Gondar front. I did a video 2 days ago. So they are more equipped now. They are greater in number now. They are more organized now. They have the ability to swiftly take over big cities. Militarily, these are their achievements. Militarily, one of their limitation has been exposed, that they cannot take control of big cities for a long period of time. They don't have this capability to stay in control of towns, cities. Why? It's mainly because they don't have required weapons. And sometimes ENDF's counteroffensives are so massive that Fano fighters were unable to counter these counteroffensives. People, civilians were caught in crossfire too. And ENDF's counteroffensives were brutal counteroffensives, I would say. Public support for Fano fighters in the case of ENDF's counteroffensives in cities declined. That is why Fano fighters retreated. Had there been massive public support continuing for Fano fighters during ENDF's counteroffensives in Gondar, Shorobit, Dibra Birhan, or Dibra Marcos, Fano fighters wouldn't have withdrawn, wouldn't have retreated. They had to retreat because public support declined when ENDF launched massive counteroffensives on big cities. Civilians died too. How many civilians have been killed in this conflict so far? Hundreds, if not thousands. So this is one of their shortcomings militarily. Politically, did Fano fighters achieve anything in Amhara region, outside Amhara region? Well, politically, Fano fighters are committing some acts which could be a problem for them. They are killing people. They are killing Amharas too. Those Amharas who they believe are loyal to Prosperity Party, who are active members of Prosperity Party, they are killing them. They are killing top security officials too, regional security officials too. So it means that while on the one hand they have massive public support, on the other hand an anti-Fano Amhara support base for Ethiopian National Defense Force is going to get stronger, especially if they continue these assassinations of Prosperity Party members. After they took control of some towns in the Amhara region, reportedly they killed people, Prosperity Party members, civilians who were supporting ENDF, who were close to Prosperity Party. While they are adopting this strategy to ensure that there are no elements to oppose them, the strategy can backfire too. It could lead to decrease in support for Fano fighters among ethnic Amharas. So politically, their position is the same. I wouldn't say through these offensives, Fano fighters have more public support now. Rather, we saw that Amhara region became destabilized, businesses closed, schools closed, civilians died. Can Fano fighters manage to receive the same public support from Amhara in coming days? We'll see. Still, they have massive support. We cannot say that there won't be any elements opposing Fano. There will be elements to oppose Fano in the Amhara region, but they could not get any allies in Ethiopia. Some protests in southern Ethiopia, otherwise no allies emerged in Ethiopia. None from Oromia or Somali, Afar, Tigray, BG sites. Even in Amhara, we saw tension between Agos Amharas, Kemans Amharas. So politically, they have not achieved much through this operation, through the first round of fighting. Diplomatically, what did they achieve on international level? Will this first round of fighting lead to increase in support for Fano by diaspora, by international community? Well, diaspora, I think, believes that it is betting on the right horse. Amhara diaspora. You will see increased support for Amhara, for Fano from diaspora. Diaspora is not affected by this war, but they wanted a change. They wanted someone from Amhara to confront Ethiopian federal government. They have been lobbying, they have been planning for months. Since last year, they have been planning to remove PM Abiy. Now they are seeing a real opportunity. They are seeing a real chance. And they were not expecting 3 months ago that Fano would take control of Gonda in just 3 months. So I think Fano achieved more than the expectations of Amhara diaspora community, mainly in US, Canada, and Europe. You will see them raise more funds for Fano fighters. Logistics won't be a problem. Money won't be a problem for Fano fighters. You will see more support for Fano in diaspora. But diplomatically, international community stayed at a distance from the conflict in Amhara. No one tried to put pressure upon Ethiopian government to wrap up this war, wrap up this conflict in Amhara. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken talked to Ethiopian PM Abiy, and after that US State Department in a statement mentioned conflict in Amhara, Oromia, implementation Pretoria deal. But we did not see any separate statement from the US, from other parties, that Ethiopia must control the situation in the Amhara region. Fano will have to build its international image. Its international image is that of a militia which committed atrocities, human rights abuses in Tigray. That is what was reported by Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch about Fano, when the two organizations compiled a report about human rights abuses in Western Tigray, So Fano's international image is seeing no change. Fano will have to do more lobbying, diaspora will have to do more lobbying to build a new image of Fano, that Fano is fighting for, maybe they'll have to use a new name. Word Fano is not acceptable maybe, because word Fano for some international players means a militia which committed atrocities, human rights abuses against Tigrayans. So we might see coining of new terms for these groups in the Amhara region. Diplomatically, nothing achieved on international level, though now groups in Amhara will be taken more seriously, but still I think they'll have to do more. It's not that they have achieved international presence and they'll be taken very seriously, no. Now, from Ethiopian government perspective, from Ethiopian National Defense Force perspective, how was the first round of confrontation, clash with the Fano fighters. Ethiopian government has created national consensus against Fano. We saw statements from almost all regional governments supporting Ethiopian National Defense Force operation against Fano fighters. Statements from all governments except Tigray. Statements from Oromia, Sidama, Benishangal Gumuz, Addis Ababa, Dire Divas, Somali, Afar, SNNPR, etc. All regional governments supported, ENDF supported the operation on Fano. And we did not see any support, major support for Fano fighters in other Ethiopian regions except in Amhara. Yes, government created national consensus. Though the regional governments are mostly led by Prosperity Party. Are people of all these regions on board? It's difficult for Fano to get allies. I think maybe some Gurag elements could support Fano. Otherwise, Ethiopian government managed to create consensus. Secondly, ENDF proved its capabilities, that it's not that ENDF is a spent force, that it is not in a position to control law and order situation. ENDF just in 5 days pushed Fano fighters out of 6 main cities. So it means that if anything can be a support for Ethiopian government in terms of controlling of law and order situation, that is Ethiopian National Defense Force. Problem for ENDF is that it has lost its frontline forces. In internal conflicts, military is not frontline force. Police is frontline force. Police collapsed, militia collapsed. Fano fighters managed to disband, I would say, police and militia members. They were on the run, they were in hiding, some police commanders were assassinated too. So that is why ENDF lost its first line of defense. That was police and militia too. And then ENDF came face to face with Fano fighters. Despite having lost first line of defense, ENDF managed to take back 6 major cities in the Amhara region. So while ENDF is showing its capabilities, we saw that hundreds of ENDF soldiers were taken prisoner by Fano fighters. Several videos, pictures were released by Fano fighters showing ENDF soldiers taken prisoner. ENDF's advantage is that it has more weapons, heavy weapons, drones, air force. It has so many resources that it is easy for them to take back cities. Otherwise, their troops taken prisoner, their troops are not, we cannot say that ENDF soldiers are exceptional soldiers, very skilled soldiers. Their main advantage is that they have more weapons. They have unlimited supply of troops, you can say, because we saw large reinforcements from regions neighboring Amhara region enter Amhara in the past few days. Now, Fano fighters too made very strategic mistakes, I believe, which ENDF exploited very well. Fano involved Addis Ababa, David Wolde Georgis, other Fano leaders from Ethiopia. They spoke of Addis Ababa as their destination. That was a strategic mistake, I think. Why? Because by calling Addis Ababa as its destination, Fano fighters involved Oromos. Because road to Addis Ababa passes through Oromia. That is why when Fano fighters were taking control of big cities, there was fear in Oromia. It was easy for ENDF to get support from Oromia. Oromia Special Force soldiers can be deployed to Amhara region in ENDF uniforms. It became easy for ENDF to get support from Oromia. Fano fighters should have restricted themselves to the Amhara region only. They talked about Addis Ababa. Oromia forces became involved. Then came counteroffensives. Almost entire Oromia became united. And Ola went quiet. Ola allowed ENDF to be relocated from Valaga towards Gojam. Why? Because Fano built a narrative that it was after Addis Ababa. Wrong narrative. They might have to change this narrative. Secondly, they will have to create more internal unity. As I said earlier, assassinations are counterproductive to assassinations of Prosperity Party members, of police officials, of lower level PP members, while Fano fighters dismantled local government. At the same time, an Amhara anti-Fano support base is getting stronger. What will ENDF do now in the second round of operation? What will Fano do in the second round of operation? We'll see in coming days. Fano has achieved a lot. We cannot say that Amhara Fano factions have collapsed, they have been defeated. ENDF has considerable military advantage. No. I wouldn't say that. I briefed you in detail about the areas where Fano has achieved something and where Fano could not achieve anything. Same is the case with Ethiopian National Defense Force. ENDF will have to do a lot. It would be a challenge for Ethiopian National Defense Force to continue operations in the Amhara region. Why? If you remember, in 2021, June 2021, Ethiopian military withdrew from Tigray region. Back then, PM Abiy delivered a speech. He said that without local support, it was difficult for ENDF to operate in Tigray. He said Mekelle had stopped being center of gravity. So he acknowledged that ENDF was finding it difficult to remain in Tigray because of no public support for them. Same could happen here. Difficult for ENDF to remain deployed, to continue operations against Fano in Amhara if there is no public support for Ethiopian National Defense Force. We'll analyze second round of fighting, what could happen in the second round, what could be Fano's strategy, ENDF strategy in coming videos. Thank you for watching.